T-minus 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Launch Sequence podcast. I've got a special episode for you today. Something I think that Star Citizen fans are going to appreciate. We got a new game to talk about. The freedom, the engineering, gameplay, the multiplayer aspects of it, I think you guys are going to like. So I've brought in none other than two of the esteemed crew on the team that's making the game to talk a little bit about the development process and what's going on with it and the lead up to the early access date, which you guys just announced. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to give you a chance to go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell the folks what you guys do at the company KeepSake Games. Why don't we start with you, Groove?
All right, fantastic. What's up, gamers? Groove here, the community manager, socials guy from KeepSake Games, in charge of that when it comes to JumpSpace. Yeah, that's me. Super excited to be here.
So you're the one who's going to be putting out all the like spicy tweets and stuff and getting the viral moments.
Oh yeah. All of the TikToks that make no sense, that are just pure brain rot. And then sometimes I get some help from my colleague Rasmus here to make some cool trailers, but it's a team effort for sure.
I was never really involved in like multiplayer games or even just online communities a lot before I started doing more YouTube and coverage and getting into Star Citizen, but really it is amazing how much of a pillar the community management team can be for a game's success, and even just like getting some of the advertising out there. So props to you. Good luck on the job. Thank you for joining me today. Rasmus, how about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Rasmus. I've been at the company for 3.5 years, something-ish. I was there quite early from the beginning, starting out as an artist intern. And then got employed. I've kept working at KeepSake, working on this awesome game. So you've probably seen a lot of my work, like the levels, guns, and different things in the game. I have not, unfortunately, worked on any of the spaceships. That has been most of my colleagues. But I've been adjacent to it. I think that's it. And I help out with some trailer stuff and stuff like that too. For example, the release day trailer that we came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I got to direct and edit that one, so it's a real fun job.
Awesome. So we'll get more into kind of the depths of your guys' jobs, but as an artist, do you find that you're more interested in working on like the cinematic kind of stuff, or do you like to get into the crunchy sort of in-game assets?
It's a mix of both. I think I love movies and all of that stuff. I mean, of course, Star Wars and everything around it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think pushing the cinematic stuff is always really fun. I try not to get too distracted with it because we actually have to make the game as well, right? Like we can spend 3 weeks on a trailer if we really want to. So I'm really happy that we have Groove here now that he can work on. For example, he made the explainer recently. So yeah, I do some of the crunchy assets as well. Like I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks, I think. Just doing trim texturing here and there and making sure that all the meshes line up properly, essentially.
Last little bits.
Of course, I'm always drawn to the cinematic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Groove, do you do the voice for the trailer, the explainer?
No, that would be the main game director Philip Koulianos, who was one of the co-founders of the studio. The core concept of JumpSpace was like his baby idea. So he's like the driving force behind what the game's turning into. So it just felt appropriate that it's his voice to explain what the game is. But I had him stand right here and be like, talking to camera, do it again. It's not a good take.
Love those. That's his favorite part of his day.
It sounded like he was having a blast when he was recording. So yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, he's like, no, more excited. He's like, hi, I'm Philip Koulianos.
Yeah, it comes through. It comes through. Well, Let's talk about the game, JumpSpace. Can you guys give a introduction to people who may not have been paying a lot of attention to what this game is and kind of the experience it's aiming to give players?
Groove, go ahead. I think this is your.
Yeah. So one can describe JumpSpace pretty easily with using a bunch of words by saying it's a mission-based co-op PvE space adventure. Like, it's pretty like it's kind of similar to Sea of Thieves, but in space. But if it was also Deep Rock Galactic, because you're 4 idiots trying to do something.
Yeah, I think
there's a lot of
we wear that today, right? And that we're part of the 4 idiots
yeah, we're part of the 4
category.
idiots.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, so for people looking for a co-op experience with 2, 3, or 4 people, or you can play solo, and you want some spaceship action that feels very immersive. This is what you've been waiting for, and it's real. There's a lot more that I can, get into the semantics of, like, well, this term, it's like we have roguelite elements, but in simple terms, Sea of Thieves in space, and it's Deep Rock Galactic, for fun times.
Yeah, those are 2 names that do come up a lot in the conversation surrounding the game. I think Sea of Thieves is a really apt description, minus the PvP element of it. When you look at the model Sea of Thieves, obviously you think of pirates in the sea. What is it that you guys did to try and make a real strong emphasis on the fact that players are in space, and it is an entirely different sort of dangerous atmosphere compared to something like just floating around on a boat?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the simple answer is just we've looked at tropes, right? Like, what is sci-fi? What do you expect? Like, when you hear this Sea of Thieves in space, for example, like, you expect to be in this tin can in space. You expect asteroids to hit everything and fires to get everywhere. Like, I think that's immediately quite different from the Sea of Thieves experience. We have fire instead of water. That's one thing.
So much fire.
Yeah, but yeah, some of that stuff, and also getting a bit more techy, I guess. Since we have the engineer panel and we have radiation leaks and all of that stuff, going more into those aspects. Even though we're trying not to be a simulator game, we're trying to delve into the fantasy of the sci-fi genre, right?
Yeah, that actually seems like a big challenge, because coming from the game I made in the cover, Star Citizen, engineering is a topic there, but it is a very all-encompassing, for some people intimidating subject to get into, because there's so many parts that try to go into it. I've played some of the JumpSpace, and I've enjoyed the way that, like, the engineering panel works with the way you're combining power. Was there a big struggle throughout the development to try and make it so that it was like the perfect balance of being interesting and engaging and keeping people playing in that engineering scenario without overwhelming folks?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's gone through a bunch of iterations. Although I think the actual engineer panel having the original plugs, that was in quite early through development, and it worked pretty well from the get-go. Even though, of course, we've iterated on it. I don't know if you've seen, JumpSpace was a jump ship a few months back, and before
Right.
that it was Hyperspace Pirates of Etheria. In that version, there was a huge, like, you went into this menu and you had all of these dials you could press and all these buttons, and there was like a lot more heavy on the simulation stuff. I think you could open airlocks and make sure the fire was put out and all of that stuff.
Oh, I love that.
But we've strayed away from that for a couple of reasons, right? Like, we want as many things as possible to be in world, like UI and the gaming, not take you out of the experience and go into a separate menu, essentially. Which I'm sure you can notice by playing the game in general. Like, most of our systems are just, if it's a UI box, it's on the screen while you're looking at the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But the engineer panel, for example, that one was just like, test it, try it again, and then we were trying stuff like having radiation pop up in there. We have red squares, we have the blue squares now that make the generators protected. Stuff like that. But we were going for the easy to understand, but then adding complexity to it. What's it like? easy to understand but hard to master sort of thing.
Right.
Which might be quite different from something like Star Citizen, which is way more heavy on the simulation stuff. Which is, it's two different crowds. Some people love the other, or one or the other, essentially, and some people like both. But we're really going for the experience of anyone can jump in and understand this within a few minutes, without having to, go to a Wikipedia page and read through all these things and understand everything. It should be intuitive from the beginning.
Yeah. Don't need a YouTube tutorial to figure out how to play.
Yeah, exactly.
In Sea of Thieves, it gets very hectic running around and eventually just kind of forgetting what you're supposed to be doing. Like everybody wants to shovel some waters. Everybody wants to patch up the holes in the hull and fire cannons, and like it gets super disjointed. Did you guys run into this scenario of like everybody in the spaceship felt like they needed to do all the things and it was hard to get people to just settle into a specific role? And do you want people to feel like they have to settle into a role, or do you want it to be more free form?
I guess I'll take this one too.
Go for it.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the chaos is part of the fun, right? It's sort of fun when everyone's running around like headless chickens, if it's for a short while, and when stress is at max. So it is definitely a thing we want in the game. But then when it comes to, every 10 minutes, it should be happening every once in a while, not all the time. So we had a lot of issues with that. The main issue was usually communication. It used to be just an icon fest of the game. I can't tell you how many times Philip or Klaus has gone through all the icons for all the activities in the game. For example, when you could be in the ship and you picked up a fire extinguisher and you're supposed to put out fires, well, you could have icons and text telling you need to fix this radiation thing, you need to go fix this component, and everything would be on the screen at the same time.
Right.
At that point, it was pure chaos for us. We've gone through so many things of like, okay, if you're holding this thing, you should hide these things, but if these things are spawning in, they have a higher prio, stuff like that. So that has been the biggest problem, I'd say, but has fixed over time when we noticed things like that. And otherwise, I guess it's keeping people in the roles. I don't know if you have anything to add to this, Groove, of like having different roles and switching in between them and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the concept has been pretty early on that we don't want to lock people into roles. A very similar game to us is the game Void Crew, which we also get compared to a lot. They have a much larger emphasis on you have roles. So there's a pilot and a gunner, and they do different stuff. They are good at different stuff. I like to think that we wear our inspiration from Left 4 Dead pretty much on our sleeves, as in people get to swap around and do the same, do the same stuff as different situations and emergencies happen. Their like concept of like, let's throw a grenade in a room and see how players solve that. That's something we also wanted to incorporate into a spaceship. And there's no specific roles when you play Left 4 Dead. So we don't want people to get locked into a box and they're forced to be the scanner support person of this friend group. Because that's like they're playing too passively. So
Right.
You're encouraged to like move around, help when you can. So it's like when 3 people are out and like you start a fire, like, okay, I'll leave the pilot seat and go and like go and fix this. That's very much part of the fun. So I'm very happy that the team has been able to like nail that down so perfectly, where it doesn't feel too hectic, but like just the right amount of hand grenade in the room.
I like, yeah, it makes you experiment. I feel like even if the game is pretty calm for most of the time, you always kind of want to throw in some crazy situation just to see what people are going to do when everything's falling apart. Was there ever a time when the team felt like there should be assigned roles, like there were classes that people were going to have, or was it always this idea of a free form, everybody just kind of picks what they want to do?
I think it's always been pretty free form. Like I can see the points of having a class system, and I think there are some really cool things in doing that. I mean, you can go a bit further in some ways, right? Like one class can be super OP on one thing and bad in other things, which is fun. But it's always been pretty open because the game switches up so much. Like you're in the pilot seat, then you have to go put out a fire, then you jump out, board a Corvette, you do this, you go back in. Like if you feel like you're locked into doing your one thing, let's say you're the engineer, for example, and then suddenly everyone is boarding this ship, of course you want to join and board the ship, right? We have though talked about this is not a promise by any means, but we are talking about, since we have the artifacts for the ship, we talked about it would be really cool to have maybe artifacts or something similar for the player, so you can actually have things that make your character work a bit differently from other ones. But yeah, at the same time, not keeping it into like you are the engineer, you are the pilot. So we want to share the fun in that way.
Right. There was never
switching.
any pizza chef role, I'm guessing.
Of course, there's always been a pizza chef
Oh,
role.
okay, good. Good to hear.
That's the most important role.
Yeah, and with the most important question, I think that everybody's wondering, why pineapple on the pizza?
Yeah.
It's like it's like just such a classic, like Sweden controversy thing of like, oh, Sweden, they put pineapple in a pizza. It's like, we don't want to be too serious. It's like, we can have a little bit of fun with this to like, like tongue in cheek. That seems to be the way that like people like their Swedish games. And like, for us, it just makes us feel like it just feels like home. It's like, yep, there's the pineapple on the pizza. Feels like I'm just going to the corner store to, yep,
Nice.
feels nice.
I mean, the super
didn't know.
Swedish way is chicken and curry, right? On pizza.
Oh yeah, the banana.
No, banana curry. Banana curry.
Yeah,
Banana on pizza.
Banana and curry on
horrible.
pizza. It's the next level cursed knowledge that we don't talk about. So be glad that we've spared you from that for now.
It sounds like
you
a
should
new
be
game
happy
plus
that we
perk.
didn't do that.
Like you guys can let us unlock that, because that would truly, I like pineapple on pizza. I've heard of before, but I've never heard of banana and curry. That's an interesting combo.
I think it was like in the 80s or something. Banana and curry became very available in Sweden, and there's like, let's put it on pizza.
We got it.
It's really, really bad.
Let's use it.
Don't try it.
I'm guessing it has died out a bit.
Yeah. I think it's more a joke at this
Okay.
point. Maybe
Good to
one or two
imagine
people
why.
try it. Yeah, but the pineapple pizza, I think it's. I remember the conversation when we first thought of the food machine, because we wanted a way to like heal the players and have this fun thing on the ship. And it was like, we just want this mush to come out. And we started laughing hysterically at the idea of you just pull down this iron and you open it up and just a fully made pizza. That's where the idea started. And then at some point, I don't know if it was Luis who finally made the pizzas that made it pineapple, or yeah. We'll see. Maybe at some point we'll add the Italian DLC and remove the pineapple pizza.
No, we can't. We can't get in. We can't give in. Like they have to.
Could give them DLCs for their geographical location.
Yeah, exactly.
Compromise on our game vision? No.
No.
You're gonna like this. You're gonna learn to love it.
Only pineapple pizza. I get it. Yeah, I've seen people play Deep Rock Galactic, and they're like, "Why can't we get Moscow mules in between missions? Why is it always beer?" You got to stick to what you know. I get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Deep Rock Galactic, that's another influence you guys have named quite a bit. Wondering, what are the biggest, I mean, you've already named a few games. What are the biggest influences that you've had going into creating the mechanics for this game? And how did you guys find that you needed to change it specifically for your game?
Good question. I mean, one thing that we talk about a lot, I mean, we have a bunch of veteran ex-devs from like companies like Hazelight and Mojang and all these places. The first thing that pops into my head, at least, which might seem like a surprise, is the Hazelight games, which means, A Way Out, It Takes Two, split fiction. I think that DNA has been sort of part of our company for a while because of these people. But their way of making games, but also designing things of, everything should be very easily understandable from the get-go. You should just be able to look at the problem or whatever you're doing and understand what you need to do. And then introduce complexity as we go along, essentially. Like the ship should be very easy to understand, but then we make things that makes it more difficult to understand over time, essentially. So yeah, surprisingly, I think it's at least a bit surprising is that those games have been pretty big inspirations.
Great games to choose.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus,
yeah,
like
maybe
how to
Guru can
bake
mention
in,
some other ones.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we feel like we have a good grasp on like like what makes very great great and approachable co-op for for new players who who don't want to get kind of like gate kept by like the scary concept of like, oh, there's so much stuff in the spaceship. It's like EVE Online levels of like management.
Right.
So I know some of the prime inspirations when Philip started working on the prototype was Pulsar Lost Colony and I forget the specific name, but like Star Trek Bridge Simulator.
Bridge Crew. I think,
Yeah, which was kind of like a more like real life arcadey thing of like you get 7 people with their own Star Trek station who get to yell commands at each other to like cooperate. So like those two gave him, it's like, okay, this is a good way to like how to add the like spaceship management into the the core co-op DNA, but then how to make it more fun. It's like, hey, Bridge Simulator is a cool concept, but like gameplay wise, it's not as snappy and like fun as you want it to be. So he's like, okay, let me cook because I got a cool thing here. So yeah, I mean, we've picked up a lot of like inspirations along the way. We can name a bunch, which has coalesced into this beautiful thing. And yeah, I mean, we keep talking to Go Ship Games because Deep Rock Galactic just keep like they just keep doing the right stuff. They have obviously found a good formula how to do 4-player co-op, how to monetize stuff. So like, I mean, we're just gonna do what they did because it's great, and like we have their blessing. So hopefully like as many good traits as possible that people like about Deep Rock, they will find something similar here.
Deep Rock's done a great job. I absolutely agree on that. I was happy when I'm sitting in the Q&A just to hear that you guys were trying to follow a similar path because it's hard to find bad things said about Deep Rock Galactic. I mean, the community is pretty great. The game is fun, and then Rock and Stone. You guys have like a chant or something that you kind of has spread through the office yet, or are you waiting for that to happen more organically with the community?
I think it has to happen, right? I think if we make it happen, I don't think it's a true chant.
That's fair. That's fair. Can't be the dwarves that come up with the saying, I guess. Not that you guys are the dwarves. I mean, the dwarves in the game, of course. The way that you mentioned, though, Star Trek Bridge Crew, that, like picturing that and all the gameplay I've seen of that, because it's always chaos. It's always people looking around in VR, screaming at each other, laughing and not really knowing what's going on, just having a good time. Combining that with like the actual running around gameplay that you describe in Sea of Thieves does make the game sound like a lot of fun, a good time. What are some funny situations you guys have run into just kind of play testing together? Anything that sticks out to you as a good memory?
I have a good one from way back. Currently we have the core, which is Iris talking to you, and you put in the core repair kit, and Before that, it was this giant ball. It was in the same room, but it's this giant ball the size of like 8 people or something that was in the floor, and that was supposed to be the core of the ship, which you were repairing. You could just repair it using straight materia instead of using a core repair kit, which meant that when everything was on fire, everyone was screaming. There would be 2 of us just standing with our materia pistols aimed at the big ball, just trying to keep the ship alive with the last materia we have, as everything is just burning. And then accidentally, a lot of the time, people would shoot the ball because you could deal damage to it by just shooting it. So someone would try to heal it with the materia gun and shoot it, and we would just blow up instead. That happened quite often for a while there.
Man. I'm ashamed at how much I probably would have done that in the game.
We've protected you, don't worry. We made the mistakes for you.
Guys, that's where you get those years of experience looking ahead at how dumb gamers are going to be when they get their hands on it.
We're pretty dumb too. I mean, we're not the greatest gamers at the office. Let's be real. So,
and we're all gamers, right?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Any good stories from you, Proof?
Yeah, I mean, like the first time we added the like grappling hook mechanic, which has now become very, very core to like getting around, and you just use it all the time. But like the first time that we did it, and then just seeing players do the same thing in the demo of just like hitching to a fighter that's like going top speed, so like you just fly for a good while, like help me, oh my god. I'm so far away now. Just seeing like the first the first iteration of that, when you gained you had a lot of speed, so like you just like you went from 0 to like Mach 4 really quickly for a while, and it was like, wow, this is going fast is fun. We've kind of reined that in, so like now you just grapple at like a fixed rate, but like seeing all the reactions from the demo, people being like, you can grapple to the ships, you can, like, oh my god, I feel like a cowboy. Like just like everything grapple hook related has been like my favorite thing of being like, oh yeah, this is it's just fun, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, have you had any stories like this? I know you only tried the demo for a while, but
I haven't. No, I haven't. I've got to admit, I haven't gotten to play it as much as I wanted to, even during the demo phase. I got a couple of chances to I played solo and got a good amount of time trying the game out that way, and then I got to play with some friends who had gotten further, so they kind of were running me through how things worked. It didn't get too crazy, but the experience of being on. So you mentioned the grapple hook. Being able to go onto another spaceship while your friend is piloting their spaceship around and you watching the fight, that was more like a oh my gosh kind of moment, because that's the sort of thing that drew me to Star Citizen, was the freedom of being able to be like, hey, I have a friend who's on this ship and he's flying it around, but I don't really want to be there. I want to be fighting from a different perspective while he's doing his own thing. And, now here we are, however much time later, and in Star Citizen, you can't do that as easily. But in JumpSpace, I absolutely love the freedom that you feel of being able to see other people doing stuff in the arena in a different vehicle with a different objective while you're doing your thing. So I don't have any stories, but that has really stood out to me. And I do kind of want to dig deeper into the grapple hook and just, I guess, all the mechanics. So you have a pilot, and you guys have talked a little bit about expanding the pilot gameplay here recently. We also have engineers, if you want to be an engineer. Turret gunners are there. Obviously, the pizza chef cannot go unmentioned. But overall, it's been like a combination of a bunch of different game mechanics. And I do wonder, was there any specific mechanic that got tested, got brought into the game, maybe wasn't even an original idea, but it just clicked with the game design, and you guys felt like it really became an integral part of the game? I want to hear how that came about, and if there were any difficulties in trying to make sure it actually worked with the game.
Stalling for an answer for now. I can say that we actually, I think I have something in mind, but the game has actually gone through, again, we've been working on this for 4 years plus, and then that's not including game director Philip's time, which he's worked on it for almost 10 years or something now. We had this full campaign story mode and everything planned for a long time. I was working on story missions for a long time. And they were just never really coming together, but we learned along the way and found some mechanics there that then really clicked and worked. So there's, in game development, there's a lot of the time, at least until you know, or the game knows what it wants to be, you reach some dead ends, you think, but then you're like, no, okay, let's take this and move it here, and then it will click. So for example, the keys archetype, I don't know if that tells you anything, but there are these missions where you collect these keys and you bring them to the generator thingy. That spawned from these story missions, and then once it was worked through and put into the game as a side destination thing, it worked really well. That's one case. I was thinking something else, but maybe Groove can fill in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think it's been more the case of from the beginning we had so many banger ideas, so we had to trim stuff that didn't fit. So yeah, from the story, the campaign era of development, that's where some of the most cinematic cool stuff came from. So we have so each mission you select has a mission type, which decides what the final jump that you do in that mission is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's eight of those that have the biggest, coolest cinematic stuff. So like we showed in the new gameplay explainer, is one of these mission types is the artillery gun, where you have to go through the process of flying amongst this huge battle happening in the background. You have to hijack these cannons to help your side of the galactic war win that fight. That used to be part of the story mode, where that fight was more of a campaign thing. And then when we couldn't make the full campaign work, those pieces got turned into the final climaxes of each mission type.
Okay.
There's, if you look at the very first prototypes from Philip's YouTube channel when the game was Hyperspace, you can see some gameplay of your big ship launching drones to scout areas. That was another thing that we have put on ice for now. We'll probably return later. So it was basically there was a bunch of ideas. It was there's so much you can do with space. You can have so many mechanics in a spaceship. What do we prioritize to make this game a reality that will actually happen 4 years later and not be in development forever and not come out? Because we're a small team, we're not going to be able to do all of this and actually launch. So we have to be what do we start with? And we can start here. But if things go well and with time, we might be able to add some of these things back in. No promises about campaign, because we now have a different story progression. But launching mini drones and fighters from a big ship, that might come back. We'll see. We've made some promises depending on how well we do. Yeah. So more killing your darlings, as is quite often when game developing. It's this is such a cool concept, but it's gonna take so much work to make it happen.
But even then, the drones, like you mentioned, that turned out to be okay, players want to be able to leave the ship and go to different places, right? And that ended up being the jetpack mechanic that we have now, which I think is one of those mechanics that slotted into place quite quickly and worked really well. Of course, we had some issues of like you couldn't be too far from the ship because of technical reasons for a while, but that got fixed by our amazing programmers. And there were also issues with like, oh, you can go anywhere here and that. But then, in general, the jetpack just from the beginning felt really good, even in its worst state.
Yeah,
but then after a while, it clicked.
It feels definitely like a very, of course, kind of part of the game when you get out and you fly from one ship to the other. Because, I mean, nobody wants to get lost just floating in space waiting. Come pick me up, guys. Come on. That's something that you don't have to... That's something you have to deal with in Sea of Thieves. You get thrown into the sea and you're just kind of floating there waiting. I like the jetpack.
Yeah. I mean, we put it in every trailer, right? So
yeah, it works. Yeah. Let's talk more about the game dev process, because I think that was a little interesting. You touched a bit on basically fighting back against scope creep. Did that ever get to a point where you were like, hold on, guys, we are trying to do too much. Let's scale back and make sure we can actually ship this, kind of like you were saying, Groove?
Yeah, I mean, I think every developer has to fight against like scope creep. Like as you dig into each part of the game and like each level and like each mechanic, there's always this part of you that's like, oh, but this would be such a cool idea if we could do this. It's like, oh man, I want to do that, but this is out of scope for it if you're like a solo dev or a small team, or even if you're a big team but don't have the time or like the budget. Like like what's the old saying of like, perfection is the enemy of launching a game? Or
that's a quote. Yes,
somebody's probably saying it.
Yeah, I mean, to be frank, I am not a developer myself. I work in community and like doing content, so I've not done this journey myself. Rasmus can speak on this more accurately, how it feels to actually create assets, like how the pace of things feel.
Yeah, I can fill in a bit. I mean, it's really about like finding what the game wants to be. And I think that was the process for us, where like we actually embraced the scope creep, or whatever we want to call it, at some point. Because the game was supposed to be a lot smaller from the beginning. Our on-foot combat, for example, all our enemies and the weapons that we have, they were barely a thing. You had your materia gun, and there was supposed to be a bit more like puzzle gameplay and the story. And then over time, we just added some enemies, and they felt nice. And we started doing more stuff with that, more weapons, and they felt nice. And then we kept going. And we did the same in all other aspects as well, right? Ship combat got more advanced, this got more advanced. But I feel like we found a good sweet spot of like, this is what the game wants to be and where it makes sense for us to be. If we want to push it to, 10 levels higher, then we need to, I don't know, hire 100 more people and spend 5 more years on this or whatever. That's never been the goal. Like KeepSake goals has always been, when I first started, the goal was to have 12 people. If I remember correctly, 12 employees at the company. We're now 16, so we didn't really keep to that. But even then, 16 people is a very small studio, especially for what I would say is JumpSpace is a pretty ambitious game.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've cut the right corners, if that makes sense. Like we're trying to do everything in a way where we get a lot of stuff done and not getting stuck in the details, essentially. And I think that's why we can do so much game that we can, and not, push the date 2 years into the future, essentially.
Yeah, or more. Yeah. Well, it's good to see a game coming together with a premise like this. Like I keep telling folks, this is the kind of game I think a lot of space people want to enjoy. It's kind of a party game almost. It's like I don't want to get into, like a deep RPG story. I don't want to hop into an MMO and spend 2 hours getting together with people. I just want to jump in for like a 30, 45 minute fun game session on a Friday night. And I think this slots perfectly into that.
That's great to hear. I mean, that's the exact goal, right? Yeah.
People want, like, people want friend slop. That seems to be the the good performing games that people seem to want to play. like just a good vehicle for making memories and good clips with your friends on like a Friday night.
Yeah.
So that's always been part of like the company ethos of studio. Like, what games do we like making? Like any game that lets you have memories with your friends, and those memories can be a keepsake of good times. Hey,
He said the name.
Hey.
so like regardless of like scope creep and like what the game turns into, as long as that stays true, we feel like we have delivered a good product if it does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the story element you were talking about with the campaign. That kind of stuff does interest people a lot. And so I think folks would be interested in hearing if there were plans for things like dynamic environments or factions that maybe have a little bit more impact, or like galaxy-wide events that maybe have effects that other people can see when you take part in them throughout the game.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've had plenty. It's one of those things where we can always say, we talked about this because we've talked about all these things, of course. But then it's a matter of if they're actually happening or not. But yeah, we did have this huge, big story thing planned, and I think it's completely dead. Very dead, but not completely. Like, we still have goals and fun ideas from that we probably want to use in the future in one way or another. So we have that. And then when you mentioned, for example, dynamic events, we do have the director events that happen, but I understand that maybe that's not what you're talking about. You want like the global events that affects everyone that's playing the game, I'm guessing. Yeah, we've talked about them. We'll see. Something that we have to some extent in the game, I think, are like destination modifiers and such, and it would be really cool to in the future do missions that are the same for everyone, and they have like a ice modifier or whatever, like that you can go to do a bunch of ice missions now, for example, or snowy missions, whatever you want to call them, and do some of that. When it comes to the extent of like Helldivers, they have their huge map that changes the war back and forth, and I think that's in our plans right now, even though it's a really cool feature, because it's also a balance of, right, like I feel like a lot of these live service games you can sort of fall behind as a player if you don't keep playing the game. So I think we also wanted the story and the game to be replayable or whatever. Let's say you join in 3 months late, or you stop playing for a year and you come back. It would be nice to not feel like you've missed out on tons of content. You can still experience that to some extent, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I can think of. I feel like I just start talking about stuff and forget the question halfway through.
No, that's good. So it's more of kind of keeping people in the moment, playing through at the pace that they want. Do you feel like then you run into a bit of a problem of keeping people interested in progression? Because a lot of games will try to use PvP gameplay to keep things changing and feeling different. If you go back to the same location or a similar location, you don't really know what will happen because it's unpredictable. What are some of the challenges you guys are trying to overcome to keep that still true with a game that's fully PvE?
I mean, we had a long, I think, half a year ago-ish, we had just the focus on progression for the game. Just trying to make it feel like you want to come back and keep playing. And some of that has been through the story elements. For example, now we have these ventures, these missions, and we have the dialogue with the Bodybot and Beerit and everyone at the hangar. Some of that stuff, as well as just, I think, increasing the amount of content that we have in general, of course, but also making the content feel a bit different each time. And we're trying to work as quickly as possible so it doesn't become, the same 3 missions over and over. But we do also see, an appeal in having this handcrafted content that we do. Like, let's say we were to go super crazy with randomization and doing, procedural generation of some kind. You can sort of lose a bit of the magic by doing too much of that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find a good balance there. I'm not sure if we're fully there, and it keeps changing and depends on whatever we're doing. Yeah.
Okay. I do like the missions I've already played. I haven't gotten bored with it at all yet, but I obviously do know that people will run through the game and then be looking for slight differences as a partially kind of a roguelike, like you said. Obviously, things will play out differently every time with the engineering that you're doing in the ship and the way that you're playing with multiplayer. But I think people are definitely interested in hearing how things can change more dynamically. I want to talk a bit about the FPS segment of the game. I am not a ship flyer. I don't come to space games to fly spaceships, but I really do love them. So I'm a huge appreciation person of like the ability to just be on the ship, be an engineer, fight fires, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to the FPS side of the gameplay, right now I believe there are 4 FPS weapons. Is that correct? I think there's 4 FPS weapons, maybe
Sort of.
sort of, and some grenades and things like that. Is there any plan to expand on the FPS side of things as well to make things a little bit more in depth there, or is that still, like you said, that was kind of a thing that you guys added on a little bit further into the process? Is it we're in a place where you guys are happy with it?
I mean, we're definitely doing more there. I'm on your side there. I've always been more interested in the FPS parts of games. I grew up playing a bunch of FPS games. I see the Halo poster you have in the back.
Oh yeah, I can't go a podcast without talking about Halo.
Yeah. But no, we love that stuff, and I think it's, I wouldn't want to say different camps, but different people in the studio that like different things, right? So, for example, our animator, myself, and then another artist, and of course other people. But the 3 of us keep talking about guns quite a lot, and I'm not sure if we have confirmed that. Can I say stuff about new weapons and such? I guess I can. We're
No
adding
problems
more.
here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But, like every classic weapon archetype that you expect will probably show up at some point, and then more consumables. Like, I think like some of the carryable items that you can use were not included in the demo. I don't think so. Like, aside from just weapons, they're gonna be like like tactical usable things. Probably just a big old plasma grenade at some point, maybe. Because like that feels like something that everybody wants, and
Yeah.
that we want. Like
Yep.
yeah, all the weapon stuff. Oh,
But
there's
I mean,
plans.
the current weapon that is being worked on, I don't want to spoil it because I mean, but it's supposed to be part of the release. It's definitely the coolest gun we've made so far. Alphonse and Emil at the company, they've done a really good job.
Okay.
Making it come to life. So if you feel like the 4 weapons weren't enough, I'm sure you'll be happy with the new one. Especially if you like big guns.
Look, I didn't even get enough time to really judge which weapon I liked the most, but I do love to see it, stray a little bit from ballistics every once in a while. I think it gets the creative juices going. You start to feel like it's a little more special. So I look forward to seeing what you guys do there. I'm happy to hear that there are more plans for that.
Yeah, there will be more enemies and such as well, right? That's the plan.
Cool.
We'll be ever expanding it.
Yeah,
Outside?
that's what.
Go ahead.
Yes, yeah. Just that's what I was gonna mention. Just like on top of more weapons, we want to flesh out the type of enemies and like challenges that you face during grand combat. Like, I think in the video where me and Philip talk about the demo feedback, we just said like, hey, we like the special infected from like Left 4 Dead. We might just steal as much of that as we can to have more like mini boss ground enemies at some point, because like it's just such a good like it's a tried and true concept that just works. And yeah, I mean, we've seen some feedback of like, yeah, like FPS gameplay was like good, but would be very nice with some enemy variety that's less bullet sponge to actually do stuff. So we have some more types coming in at launch that people have been working on that are more tactical and offer like a different way to work around them. But I hope that we sooner rather than later can get to some more like beefy special stuff that like like tackles you. It's like a rolling Star Wars droid or something. Like just like something that stands out that just really changes the dynamic of the battlefield that you're in. But things can still change. So like nothing's locked in. So we'll see what people want to have, and then we can see what we can do about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would really help to balance out the FPS with how just unique that ship segment is, you know, playing in the spaceship and battling and doing the engineering, and it feels so fresh and so different. And then you get down to an FPS scenario, and if it's not as special, then I think that starts to drag on people. So I think that's really, really good news that you're looking at different enemies and weapons. That makes me really excited. Outside of the upgrades to ships and, well, we'll stick to just that. Can you guys talk a little bit about what you want to do to help people have a bit more of an identity in game in terms of customization besides just like upgrading your ship and working on that progression?
Good question. I think I touched upon it a bit earlier. It was like I didn't explain the artifacts, but like having personal modifiers and such would be a really nice thing. Again, we haven't decided on this, and we'll have to iterate and test and make sure that it works. But we have been talking about doing stuff like that. Original ideas that we talked about way earlier was like the suit that you wore would give you different bonuses and such. But we decided against that because it's always nice to have your own cosmetics and have them define like your visual style without that impacting your gameplay essentially. Because if you really love a helmet but it gives you bad stats, you feel conflicted, right? Yeah. So we went against that, but we've been talking about some stuff like that. Otherwise, I don't know if we have any other plans, unless you know anything, group, that I've missed.
No, I mean, we can't do like everything. So, in part of us trying to make like, not trying to introduce classes, we are trying to make people feel as like, like same level as possible. So that there's no like, like gatekeeping or like so just like so truth is we're not gonna be as deep into player expression or like player loadouts as like Call of Duty or like Battlefields, like with like perks and stuff,
right?
There is like Rasmus mentioned, there's always an ongoing discussion of like how can we make player progression, can we do a skill tree that like maybe has like purposeful progression that doesn't just feel tacked on.
I wouldn't mention
we can
skill
add
tree, though. I think that will give panic to some of our other employees.
I'm going to make so many promises today. My God. Yeah, I mean, what we can do within the concept of the game is we can give you a bunch of unlockable cosmetics, sure, that you can work towards to express yourself that way. But like in vain, in the same vein of just games that are designed to keep people kind of on the same level, kind of like Left 4 Dead, same. We're not going to be the deepest game in that way. like,
But
in
I
terms
guess
of
we'll
like
see over time, right? Like we'll see what players want. If they expect more of that content and everyone's screaming for it, then of course we'll try our hand at it.
Yeah.
But so we have some loose plans, but we haven't had the time to go into it yet.
I think
At least not more than we have currently.
I think people will be excited to hear what kind of cosmetics plans you guys have. I know you talked about some releases similar to what Deep Rock Galacta does with like the skins and stuff that you can add to your characters, your weapons. That I think should be good. Probably not the whole, Fortnite model of Johnny Bravo is now flying through space and boarding a spaceship, but the cosmetics I think will be a big thing just for the sake of like you see characters all the time in this game. You're running
Yep.
past them, and that's a very great opportunity I think to customize a bit.
Yeah, and I mean we're gonna add more helmets and such as well, right? We want to have at the end of when we're releasing into 1.0, it would be great if we had 20 helmets or whatever. Just this huge list of things. I'm not promising 20 helmets, but you get what I'm saying.
Any helmets is a good helmet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a bad reputation for not wearing my helmet when I go out into space in these games and dying. So the more helmets that I have access to, the better probably for me and all of my viewers. You guys mentioned that Ghostwood, Ghostwood Empire, Ghostwood, what is it? Yeah, Ghostwood
Yes.
Empire is
All the
doing the
music.
soundtrack.
Yep.
I am such a huge fan of their Satisfactory work. Is there going to be easy access for people to just like sit back and listen to the JumpSpace soundtrack at some point?
Yes.
Soundtrack is coming. Tracks are being remastered to be ready for a proper soundtrack. Games gonna be in early access, so that and the music is not gonna be done. But at some point, maybe at like 1.0, it's like now the soundtrack's done, and then of course we're gonna ship it out into a more like proper like music release, same as with Satisfactory.
Yeah, you'll probably. I know that they're working on it, like the mastering and stuff. I've been talking to them this week, and I've been pushing them to like please include all the songs, like even the tiny
Thank you.
cinematic ones and the trailer
Thank you.
songs and everything. Because like I see so many people like, oh, the trailer music is so sick, and then
Yes, the main song is
most
so
people don't
good.
put out. Yeah, they've done a great job with it. So huge props to Dennis, Daniel, and Ines, all of them. Lorenz as well. Really, really cool people that do some really good work. We're very happy to have them both on music, and they do a bunch of all of our sound design as well.
Nice. We are also very
They're
happy.
doing a really good job.
You guys for that team
Yeah.
up. It fits the epicness of the game very well. You mentioned
Fantastic.
Speaking of the music, I can like chime in on like on like the same thing there. If people play the demo and like you noticed that there's like a jukebox and there's a jukebox and a boombox
Boombox.
that actually plays one song, two songs. So we're gonna continue to add to that. So as the game continues, we're hopefully gonna be able to like license some stuff, work with like fans of the game who might be like musicians to be like, hey, do you maybe want to have your track in the game, or we work with like YouTubers who can do cool covers. So our intentions and like hopes is to like just have a cool playlist for people to cycle through in the boombox to have like to be able to play in the ship. Like again, I'm gonna be in trouble if I promise too many things, but that's the intention. So we'll see how many and like when, but that's what we want to do. It's like that's why the boombox is there, so that we can get licensed songs. And then if people start to mod our game, maybe they can put in their own soundtrack files. I'm not sure how easy that will be, but yeah. So we have like larger music plans that way too. Like not just the soundtrack.
awesome. That would be great. And I know you guys have mentioned not necessarily that you're going to do a whole bunch of mod stuff, but it is open to the community to work on mods for the game anyways.
Yeah, I think that's our we're definitely not against mods by any means. We just do not have the resources to support it actively, essentially.
Right.
At least not now.
Right. All right. So, Groove, you have mentioned the various promises you might make today to get yourself in trouble, and I want to put one last one on your plate and see what you guys might say.
Oh, God, okay.
The game comes into early access. Was it September 19th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Congratulations on you guys getting that date out there. Looking forward to it. Let's say it's a great launch. What are the kind of year one plans that you guys are thinking the company's going to be going after? Or, if you'd prefer, when is the 1.0 launch expected? And I want an exact date.
Yeah, I like, when is a game done enough to be, again, satisfactory? They were in early access for 6 years,
Yeah.
and like that felt like a good done game well before that, at least in my opinion. So there's no clear answer to how long we'll be in early access. I guess that depends on maybe how well we perform, and then we have more resources to do stuff.
Yeah. There's so many questions.
It's very hard to like speak on any of this. But yeah, roadmap will be coming out soon, in early September, I hope, where we can give you like a preliminary showing of this is what we plan for the rest of the year, and then just year one as total. And that can always change with what your player feedback is on what we should prioritize. Rasmus knows what's doable in 1 year in terms of art wise. So if I say 5 ships, he's gonna come drop kick me at the office. So I'll say
Just
an uncertain amount of ships. I don't know.
I'm not doing the ships. It's Emil doing them, so I can say 20, and he.
There it is.
Started.
20 ships confirmed. 20 ships, 20 helmets.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah, I mean,
it's like you're saying, right? Like there are so many questions left. I mean, we haven't even launched the game. We don't know if we're going to have 5 players or 5,000 or 5 million. Like we have no idea. So it's really listening to the community and seeing where it makes sense to go. Of course, we have plans and ideas. We have finales, and we know ish where we want to take the story and everything. But I think it's difficult to tell what we're going to do in the next 6 months. 1 year is even more difficult to think of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see how fast we can put out content compared to a larger team like Helldivers. But like more of what you've been seeing is gonna come like in year one. So more mission types, more maps lovingly created by Rasmus, ships, weapons, enemy types, helmets, and yeah, we got like new mechanics coming in, some like modifiers. So what we know for sure is more of what we already have, and then we'll see what else will be new. But
we want to be quick on our feet, right? Like especially since we're a small team, I think that is one of the perks of being a small team. Like we don't have a full 1 year roadmap. We're going to do this and that, and we're going to hit this marketing beat and all of that. Like we want to listen to the community and listen to the game, as I mentioned before. So I feel like it would be a bit naive of us to plan too far ahead when we don't even know what where the game will be in 3 months.
That's fair.
Of course, we have some idea. It's not like we're completely fumbling in the dark. Like we have plans and ideas, but
like all plans end September 19th. We don't know what happens after that.
Yeah, we'll just be sitting there reading like, what are we gonna do now? Like, give us ideas.
Well,
I guess we can keep bringing this up as often as we can because it is a real promise. Philip Kolianos has promised. I mean, if we sell 1 million copies, we are we are gonna make a like big battleship type of ship, some kind of destroyer class, big.
I think he
like a
promised
battleship
that
is
1
gonna...
million wish lists. Actually, I think.
No, it's not.
Actually
No, it's not.
already. Okay. 1 million
Yeah, so,
copies.
Let's hit them both.
so-
Come on, guys.
So
Wish list. We
that's a real...
already did it. We hit 1 million this summer.
Ah,
Which we're of course
beautiful.
super happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had that. We got endless mode coming in. Hopefully not too soon after launch.
Is
So,
that
yeah,
like just you just
definitely-
keep battling enemies?
Yeah, you like there's different ways to do the endless mode, but you do several jumps back to back to back. Maybe like, COD zombies where you like try to get to jump 100 to get an achievement.
Yeah, I
But
like
it's
that.
gonna be really hard.
That sounds
Or
fun.
like, yeah, we have different ways to do it, depending on like if you're like a hardcore or like a more soft, like a softer endless mode. But that's the thing that's coming that we have talked about before. So
Okay.
people can look forward to a lot of things coming. Like we're not a ghost kitchen that's just gonna disappear once we've sold some copies. We're gonna stay here and just keep cooking.
Yeah, I think with the early access release, people do expect there to be more stuff coming along down the line. Was there any sort of like a conscious decision made as to whether or not the game should go early access or stay in development until it's done, or was that an easy decision to make?
I think it's been bounced around for years, but the original idea was always early access because we wanted to go the deep rock route, like you mentioned earlier, of really talking with the community, working with it over time, because we might not actually know what the game should end up being perfectly. Like the community will shape this game over time. So I think it's, at least since I started 3.5 years ago, it's always been the same. It's always been like it's going to be in early access. We're not going to finish it. But with that said, we've always said that we want it to be in a very good state for early access. We have pushed the game forward internally a few times for the reason of like we want it to be as good as it can be. And it's been the right decision over and over, it feels like. Because now we're at a state where we're very proud and happy of the game, and we're excited to see people try it out.
Yeah.
But I think early access has always been part of the plan.
It's kind of like you guys said earlier. There doesn't have to be an exact line where you pass that 1.0 quality level. You're building a game that's fun to play already, and you're just adding more onto it. I think that's a great way to go about it. The way that games launch in the industry in general has changed a lot over the years, and I would love to hear you guys' opinions on this as kind of a way to close out the conversation. A lot of games struggle in development, scope creep, they get canceled, they get delayed a lot or lose their way. And it seems like despite tools and engines and things getting more available to people to make games, actually making and releasing games from the indie level all the way up to the biggest AAA games seem to run into a lot of problems these days. In your opinion, does it feel like it's harder to fully launch a game now than it used to be, as opposed to just like making a game and then letting it live on its own?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's another tricky. I mean, like I can start this off by saying, trying to be wise and cool with a really snappy answer. I wouldn't say it's it's easier to make a game than it's ever been because the tools are more accessible and games get released all the time. It's just you don't notice them. The hard part is not launching the game or making it. It's getting it, getting it noticed enough where people know that it exists. And that part, whether it be getting funding, getting marketing, standing out from the ever increasing just breadth of launches, that's definitely getting harder and like keeps changing all the time. If you're like a medium sized like if you're going for publishing or like trying to get funding, like what people want to fund changes very rapidly depending on like trends. That's super hard. There's a lot, yeah, there's so much business semantics here that we can get into, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like just making the game itself, like making games has always been hard and takes a long time. So like people can make their own game solo better than ever, but that doesn't change that it still takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8 years, depending on like your own level of commitment and like skill and like dedication. It's a really broad topic that I wish we had someone who was like a publishing connoisseur who could who could dive into. But
Yeah,
like
we should have had Daniel here today. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you all as players have probably seen, like news in the last 4 years of like there's been layoffs and the games launch in an like unfinished state. More things
Yeah.
rely on, like live service, microtransactions to actually stay profitable. It's so much more complicated now to to get to that level where you're seen. So that part's hard, but making a game by picking up Unity or Godot and doing your own, like just doing your own sprites, that's easier than ever. Is
Yep.
my like very scrappy answer. We're not all over the place there.
Wisdom. You can say.
You
Wisdom.
Yeah.
like again, Rasmus has more experience going to like game school, so he can probably speak upon like how the feelings were there and like what he was told to expect. So what's your view on all this?
I guess I wouldn't say game school gives me that much, but it is interesting. Like I went to Future Games here in Stockholm, big game school, during COVID, and at that point it was quite super easy to find a place to be at. Like there were internships and people could find jobs everywhere because everyone was at home playing video games, right? So the industry was booming. And since then, it's changed, completely to the opposite, like you mentioned. People are losing their jobs instead, and it's difficult to get hired. As a student, I think it's practically impossible these days. And as someone in the industry, it's already difficult. So it's rough times in those ways, but I also agree, like it is easier than ever to make video games. Like you can be a team of, you can be on your own or a team of 3 people and make something awesome, which is really, really cool. But I think it makes the big companies work and think a bit differently, since like let's say you were starting a game 5 years ago when COVID was big. That goes for a while. And then you come to now 2025 and trying to release this game that you planned 5 years ago. So much has changed in the market, right? It changes from month to month. Even games that you think are going to succeed and be a smash hit, they fail immediately. And other games that you think no one's going to care about this sells 10 millions of copies, right? So yeah, I think it's really fun in a lot of ways. I think it's cool that a game like Peak can sell 15 million copies and just people have a great time with it. I mean, that's awesome. But it's also a bit sad to see the bigger companies starting to, I don't know if falling behind is the way to put it, but you have to be, like I mentioned before, like quick on your feet. And it's difficult when you have a team of 300 people.
Yep. I've seen so many games that I was looking forward to canceled in the last year. It's such a bummer. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, like you said, it's not just making the game, it's marketing it. Advertising is king nowadays. Word of mouth is so important. And I hope you guys are happy with how the lead up to JumpSpace's release has been going. I mean, like we were saying before the podcast, this is something that I'm hearing people talk about in circles I don't normally hear base games talked about. And I think it really hits on a vibe that people are looking for in space, which has been kind of a hard place to make games up until recently. And now I want to ask just one more question because you guys brought something up there. You mentioned how the industry is shifting and people have different expectations to launch these kinds of things. Do you think that JumpSpace would have, or rather, how do you think JumpSpace's launch might have been different, say, 8 years ago? Is the market more favorable to something like this now, or was it back then?
That's also a good question. I think like I'm not sure if this game would be fully doable. I guess it would be, but like at the size of the company we are now, making it 8 years ago, that would be very difficult. I think like technology and the way things have just evolved over the years has made this game possible. I mean, I'm sure you could still do it, but I feel like a bigger team would probably be needed. So that would make it so we need to sell more copies and be a bigger team and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say we were to release it. I mean, we could make it exactly the way it is now and release it. That's a good question. I think it would be easier to be seen. I think we would stand out a lot more. Since like Groove mentioned, like there are just so many games these days. Like just making a good game nowadays isn't enough. You have to make a great game, and it has to be catchy enough to people. They catch interest. So I think it would been easier to, or more difficult to develop, but easier to sell would be my guess. Purely hypothetically.
Yeah. It seems like space games have had a lot better time this decade than the last one.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sad about that part. Like growing up playing games, I haven't experienced too many space games because there haven't been too many, at least that are not easily accessible, so to say.
Yeah, you shed a tear for it, man. Sad.
Yeah. Sci-fi is a cool genre, right?
It is. It is. We need more sci-fi. It's fantasy everywhere, man. We need more. That's why I'm so excited for this. I look at something like Sea of Thieves, and I'm like, hey, this would be cool in space. Here we are. I like it.
Hope we can live up to those expectations. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for the hard work that you've put into this. Thank you and your team at KeepSake. Please pass on our blessings, you guys. This is going to be a big month for you next month. I hope it all goes well. And before we sign off here today, if you could let folks know where they can find some more information about the game, look into how it works, or maybe even wishlist it or pre-order it so we can get that battle cruiser.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for anything JumpSpace related, a quick Google search will take you to our website. If you go on YouTube and search KeepSake Games, you can find our latest trailers, gameplay explainer to show you all the gameplay you need to know to see if this is your kind of game. The Discord, we're very active. Things are heating up. Yeah, like you said, it's going to be an exciting, crazy month. And we're so thankful to have gotten this far, like just by the support of like people like you, Tomato, just showing your genuine interest and inviting us to your cool podcasts and giving us a little spotlight. Yeah. So, but just I am in charge of keeping everyone as informed as possible. So whatever social media you're on, search JumpSpace or KeepSake Games, and you should be able to find us. And I'll keep you posted on exactly what happens. Oh man, I'm getting the jitters because it's less than a month now.
Yeah, it's not far at all.
It is the final stretch. You guys excited? You feeling good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're working on it for such a long time, and it's like the demo was so fun. It was really fun to see like everyone trying it out and having a way better time than we thought. I mean, we thought the game was good, right? But it's been very fun seeing all the positive reactions. So that's hyped us up, but we're also trying to like be very cautious and like maybe they'll hate it now that we're actually releasing it.
They always want what they don't have, and then they get it, and suddenly. Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I think this one's got staying power, guys. I'm really looking forward to the launch. Thank you again so much for joining. Really appreciate you. Folks, if you want to learn more about the game, feel free to hop into the show notes down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining on YouTube. You can also find us on your favorite podcast platform if you'd like. Drop a review on Spotify if you like what you're hearing and seeing. And I will see you all next week.